dos, tres, cuatro.
Hey guys, welcome to Plugged In with Spike Leo featuring Jack the Bear, mastering engineer, mentor, all-round fucking legend, and also my mentor. I'm super excited to have you in today, man.
Good to be here, mate.
I didn't want to tell you how excited I am until we started rolling.
Right, yeah, no, of course. Just contain your enthusiasm.
Just contain my enthusiasm.
Just contain it, mate. Let it out now. Unleash it.
I'm fucking excited. I'm fucking excited because every week I see how hard you're working, and people don't understand how much hard work goes into interviewing people in the industry. You're organising these big seminars. You're doing all these great things. I came to the first seminar, which was really inspiring. You had an awesome panel of people who have been in the industry for many, many years. The dude who did the stuff for In Excess. You had some young cat.
Marco Pitts.
Yeah, Marco Pitts. You had a young cat there who was 17 years old or 18 years old who's killing it.
Nicholas Lamb.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Simon.
Simon.
Nicholas' his brother. Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, Simon.
There you go. I know
Simon.
Nicholas.
Yeah, the good boys.
So just really exciting stuff. I found that really inspirational. I saw you have people really kind of looking up to you and everything you're doing.
Fuck, they're looking up to me. Yeah.
Look, you've inspired a lot of people, mate. You've inspired me as well. You're just there sometimes to give a kick up the butt, and I'm sure that you've changed a lot of people's lives. And I think the most valuable thing in what we do, which is obviously creation, but it's also legacy. And I really think that you're kind of putting that down. So
Thanks, mate.
It's really exciting to have you in. And what I wanted to kind of achieve in this interview is I wanted to, you're busy asking everyone what they're doing. I wanted to kind of get some background, like how you started in the music industry. How was it for you coming up? Was it fucking hard? Did you have opportunities? Did you have to make opportunities and stuff
I
like
just
that?
sucked a lot of dick and had a sugar daddy, heaps, a bankroll. And it was
Jesus.
easy. It was so kids, it's easy. It's all this shit about it's hard, is bullshit. It's just, money,
Right.
drugs, no.
And rock and roll.
And all that. So, mine was a cakewalk, mate. I can't believe it. It's just been a piss take, really.
So what's the true
No,
story?
all right. That was the true story. Now let me tell you the story that you want to tell.
Sure.
No. All shit aside. I really just got started as a result of a passion, really, for music. As a kid, always wanted to do music. Never liked school, even though I did okay at it. My dad was a failed academic, and so decided that he would live vicariously through me and say, well, if I didn't become one, you will, and was grooming me to do law. Had no fucking interest at all in doing law, had no interest in school, academia whatsoever. I just hated school, hated being told what to do, hated authority, liked just being my own person, was very rebellious that way, very fuck you sort of attitude. And just always loved music as far back as I could remember, but it wasn't until I was about maybe 15 that I really made this conscious decision that when I really started getting into music as a kid and collecting records and seriously appreciating music, not just getting into it on a deeper level and being fascinated by records and the sounds and how just the experience of listening to music in headphones and stuff. And so I didn't have the looks or the talent to be on a stage or in front of a mic. So I thought, okay, I'm going to learn or want to learn what happens and how's the magic created.
Sure.
And so just became obsessed with looking at credits on records and just found all these names kept popping up all the time. And so these people became kind of my heroes, if you will, even though I had no idea what they did, no idea what they looked like, never been inside a fucking studio. Just they were just a name, but I knew that they were responsible for creating this, or helping co-create it along, obviously, with the artists, the music and whatnot. And so I left school, finished school, did okay, did more than okay.
Sure.
Didn't go to university, and
Were your parents supportive of like you trying to choose a career in music?
my dad was completely against music as a career. He just could not see how anyone could make a career out of it. in his mind, from what he saw, he just thought musicians were just people that hung out late at night, did lots of drugs, partied,
Sure.
had no direction in life. But he could see music as a great hobby, as a great thing to fill your time in. So his attitude was get a job, make some fucking big cash roll.
Sure.
Then use that money to buy equipment or buy HAFIY and records. But he didn't understand that I wasn't interested in just listening to music on a stereo.
And that was kind of the mentality. I mean, you're the generation before me, and that's kind of, we're talking about the war era as well.
Post-war, yeah. I mean, but mate, listen, in fucking 2018, that exists now. I mentor kids who come still from that, and it's very and this is with no disrespect to Indians and Asians, but very prevalent in those cultures, where these kids, their futures are basically determined from a very young age. You're going to be an accountant. You're going to be a fucking surgeon. You're going to be, and they will move hell and high water to get those kids over the line, no matter what.
That's right.
And so that still is prevalent, unfortunately. But it was even more so back in my day. Mm-hmm. And I think, to be very honest with you, mate, that is what actually shaped me. Sometimes I thought, well, what if my dad was supportive and went, yeah, son, I'll fucking back you and I'll fucking pay for this and I'll pay for that. Would I have become who I am today? We will never know for certain, but it's unlikely. But I can tell you that because of his resistance and because of him saying no, fuck you, I went. And so that's what led me down that path of, leaving home, just traveling a lot, going to studios. I mean, I'm not a product of the typical studio engineer that you'll find amongst my peer group. Most of my peers went through a formal internship at a studio, worked at a place a certain amount of years, developed themselves, made a name for themselves within a place or two, whereas I was not really interned in that fashion. I just basically became a hobo for most of my 20s.
Sure.
Travelled, went to different studios, learned from lots of different people, never held down a job as such. But I picked up a lot of experience by observing, seeing how people operated, the way different people operated, learn a lot about how to do things, learn a fuckload about how not to do things as well. Mm-hmm. So I was continually making these mental notes on things like, one day when I get there, one day, that I would implement this and this and this and this, or I certainly won't be doing that and that and that and that. And so I found that there's a lot of learning in how not to do things as much as there is in how to do things, And I think the greatest lesson I got, and the Americans are so big on this, which is about the idea that you are a service industry. Mm-hmm. You're running a service. And one of my mentors, Rick Essig, who taught me how to cut vinyl records, said to me that 80% of this job is bullshit. And when he first said that to me, I just looked at him and, what do you mean by that? And what he meant was, he said, it's a people business. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with egos. You got to understand psychology. You're dealing with sensitive souls, and it's not about pissing in people's pocket, but it's just about understanding them, having empathy for them, and realizing that also you're working in such a competitive market. It's a privilege that they're going to come in to see you, and that doesn't mean you lay down and you become a fucking doormat and they wipe their boots all over you, treat you like shit. You bend over and take in the fucking ass. What it means is that you're just mindful that there's so many choices, and in a town like New York City, especially, where it's one of the fucking meccas of music, where people they're spoiled for choice, and if they're making a conscious decision to work with you, I mean, it's a great privilege, and so that needs to be treated accordingly. And so, so you take care of these people, and you have empathy for them, and you have a personal empathy for them first and foremost, and then the musical empathy of understanding their music and where they want to go and what they want to do. Sure. So, and that was probably the biggest lesson, and that we're working in a relationship economy.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, in the years that you're up and coming, with studios far less in between, slowly closing down because the rise of the home studio has really been coming about. Mm-hmm. value do you think there is for, say, all the up-and-coming music producers that are watching this? And, I feel like when I first started out, I was really looking for opportunities to just get in a studio. I offered to work for free, serve coffees, do whatever. And it didn't happen for me. With YouTube and the internet now being so accessible, being able to watch this, meet people like yourself, and even, there's masterclasses with all the guns overseas as well. Mm-hmm. How important is it this day and age? Do you still need to get the experience in a studio, or can you do it on your own in your house watching YouTube?
I don't think you have to get experience in a studio. It's like that whole interning model is pretty much fucking dead and buried, the old school way of doing things. I think it's good if you can get a relationship with someone at a studio that you can come and hang in with, because you'd be amazed how much you learn simply by observation. Mm-hmm. And that's how I learned mostly. It was asking questions, for the most time, just watching.
And I saw an interview, sorry to interrupt you, with Quincy Jones, and his advice to this young cat was shut the fuck up, listen and learn.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Shut the fuck up is fine, but also don't be afraid to ask questions, but ask questions at the right time, and usually the right time is at the end of a session. So, if I'm always impressed by the kids that come in, they're observant, they're quiet, they're not on their fucking phones, and then they will wait until people left the room. They just know, they just have this they follow their instinct. They just kind of know when the right time is, and that's something you can't teach a kid. Yep. But going back to try and answer your question, I don't think it's absolutely imperative that they need to go into a studio. I think it's helpful. I think it's good to have relationships with other engineers or producers or people that you follow their work or have some respect or admiration for. And you'll find that most people are pretty approachable if you're really genuine about it, and you're consistent, and you're passionate. And I'm amazed how many people hit me up for work experience. Mm-hmm. And I don't have time to always answer these people. And quite often you'll never hear back from people.
Sure.
I would say over 95% of the time of the people that I don't actually am able to get back, they don't call back, they don't ring back, they don't email back. And that's fine. It just shows me that, that they're not wasting my time anymore. It's cool.
So there's something in perseverance, not being annoying.
No, I think absolutely. Just because someone doesn't get back to you, that doesn't mean that they don't want to deal with you, and there's no conspiracy out there to fuck your world up.
Yeah.
You must have a very big fucking ego if you really believe that to be the case. Sure. No one gives a fuck. No one's that important. Mm-hmm. And I put myself in that category as well. So they just don't get back. And I think a good rule of thumb is, for me, if someone hits me up and I can't get back, and if they hit me up in 3 or 4 weeks' time with a gentle reminder, that to me is cool. I find that, okay, you persist enough, you give me a little bit of time, because you just don't know what's happening in that other person's life. They may be going through a real fucking crisis. They're going through marriage breakdown. Their partners could be fucking. You just don't know what's going on. So sometimes your priority is going to go a bit down the fucking list.
Sure.
But every 4 weeks or so is probably good. And if it doesn't happen the second time, do it the third time. If you're fucking serious, you'll do it. I mean, I went overseas with fucking no money in my pocket because I was that obsessed about it.
Yeah. And how do you find your mentors overseas? Like, where was your first hookup? Who kind of took you under their wing?
I think the guy that really sort of took a major shine to me and really took me under his wing and really gave me the lessons that have shaped me in the biggest ways is Rick Essig at Frankfurt Wayne in New York, which unfortunately isn't around anymore. But Rick was the guy that, Rick took me into his fucking home, into his family. He took me into his fucking family. And for him, that was just like, well, that's just how he fucking rolled. But I never forgot that. And that was something that I always said to myself, if I ever get in a position where I can actually help someone that way. And now I don't take people into my home, but at least I'll give kids a time of day that are willing to show me that they are really, really interested in what they're doing. And when I had young Andre Ehrman, same sort of deal, man. When I met Andre was fresh out of RMIT, and I see, he sat me down and said, hey, listen, he was actually the first guy that I can recall who told me I have an interest in mastering, and actually showed me examples of the work that he did on a very humble, limited setup on his computer, like as humble as fuck.
Sure.
But at least he was able to show me, well, this is the before and here's the after. Now, every other kid up until that point, and still to this day, they tell me I'm into mastering. It's bullshit. I know they're not into it. They can't even tell me 2 fucking names of mastering engineers.
Yeah.
But it's the sweet talk. It's the I love you, baby, I need you, baby type talk. You know what I mean? It's like thinking what I want to hear, and it's not what I want to hear. I don't give a fuck.
You want to see the work.
Well, but even if you don't know anything about mastering, I would prefer you be honest and say, look, I have no idea what the fuck mastering is, but I'm fascinated by it. At least we can explore that.
Sure.
And they'll either work out whether it's for them or it's not. Most of the time when people come and they want shit, and you can sense it straight away because you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Mm-hmm.
You meet these kids, and quite often the devotees of mastering usually are more about, well, I want to be a singer, I want to be a songwriter. And at least if they can fess up to that, then it's like, great, well, at least now I know how to help you. At least let's have a conversation about that and see, because I know different people in different areas, parts of the industry that perhaps I could introduce you to, or I could send you, refer you to. That's going to be more beneficial to where you really want to go.
Sure.
Not just fucking say you want to be something when that's not the truth. You think that's what's going to get your foot in the door. But I can understand why people do it. I get it. People are fearful. People don't want to look good. I get it.
So let's talk about, being authentic, genuine, building self-confidence. I want to talk about that topic in a second, but I also want to ask you about the importance of relations. We're in an industry where you were saying it's about people, and it certainly is. How important is it to build strong relations where we're spending so much time when we first start out in a studio by ourselves, which can be really, really challenging and difficult. And everyone who does that knows how difficult it is to keep motivated, disciplined, and all the rest. So how important is it to kind of find a clique, to find a group of people where you can feel some support? I understand no one gives a fuck, like you said, and we're all on this journey by ourselves, but I guess, there's a lot of us going through the same thing. So how important is it to make contact, collaborate?
I think it's vital, especially today, to find your tribe, a peer group, and even if you're a kid in fucking regional Australia or in North Buttfuck Alaska or wherever, we got the internet now, and so we got a resource where people can get online and support each other. You're right. Ultimately, it's up to you. You got to do the work. You're ultimately responsible for all your actions and all your outcomes, the good stuff, the bad stuff, and everything in between. Mm-hmm. But having a group around you or support network, and particularly people that are in the same industry, on the proviso that you can actually have some pretty honest conversation. I think what I find sometimes, and this is typical of just online, I still think there's a lot of bullshit that goes on particularly about how well people are doing or how they're fucking killing it. And I'm delighted that people are. I want to see people successful. I want to see an industry thrive and grow. But I think sometimes you also get this thing of, it's that whole social media, Instagram kind of thing, filtering and bullshit about, look how fucking good I look, look how fucking great my life is. And the reality is, mate, I don't care, even fucking Sterling Sound and Abbey Road are going to have their lulls and their fucking bad days and their challenges and everyone else, And so I think so long as you can have an honest conversation, and that's really fucking hard for people to do, man, being really fucking honest and vulnerable about where you're at, particularly about the tough stuff. Everyone can get on fucking bored and down with the whole, I've got a gold record, look at me, or I'm working with this fucking band, or I'm mastering 40 million fucking records today and whatnot. And that's great. And like I said, nothing I like to hear more about than people succeeding, kicking ass.
Sure.
But what happens though when shit doesn't go the way you plan? It's life, man. It's not a linear fucking journey. And you're going to experience more fucking downs, more disappointment, more rejection, more betrayal, more letdowns than fucking successes. That's what makes the successes even sweeter and more memorable, Because if everything was fucking rocking all the time, it'd get pretty boring. It get really fucking boring. It's like, well, what do you got to contrast that with? Now, I'm not saying that you have to fucking look for bad opportunities or you have to. Of course, like I said, I'd love to see people have a high batting average with their success rate.
Sure, there's something about embracing it.
But what are people talking about their tough times? You know, what do people do when, like, fuck, I'm not going to make rent this month? You know, what do I do? I'm having a problem client at the moment. I got fucking knocked back on a job. I didn't win a shootout. What happens then? And this is where there's real learning to be had. And this is where people are honest enough to share their stories about that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's where you really can help each other and support each other through that. By first of all acknowledging that I go through it too, I feel it too, and that is part of my reality, right? It's not just all about fucking, you know, milkshakes and rainbows, you know, great as they are.
Sure. So I want to ask you on that. That raises a really interesting question for me. I'd love, if you will, to maybe share a story of yours. You know, a lot of people out there are trying to pursue a career in some creative shape or form. All creative parts are fucking hard.
I've got millions of shit stories to share. I think probably one is when I first started Deluxe in 2000. We opened the doors in 2006. Up until that point, I was working at Sing Sing, and I was renting a room out of there, and that was going pretty well. But I realised I wanted to do my own thing. Just for various reasons, and at the time I was very ambitious with what I was doing. Now, what was happening then, we had LimeWire and file sharing, and MP3s are starting to come on board, and also we were having, this is the beginning of the proliferation of the home studio. The music industry was really starting to change and evolve. It was becoming more and more of this cottage industry, you know, and so here I am at a point where budgets were getting smaller. People were starting to file share. We had the whole Napster thing that was happening at the time. And so the you know, people in their crystal balls were talking about, you know, the beginning of the end of the music industry as we knew it. And here I was wanting to start up a fucking mastering studio and get a top line fucking designer on board, and my accountant thought I was crazy because I was spending more money on the fucking fit out than I was on the fucking building. And, you know, and I had people who, while they were, I guess they were going, well, mate, it's kind of great that you're doing this, but fuck, aren't you overcapitalizing? Do you really think it's going to work? This is the trend. Who's going to pay to come and see you when more and more people are downsizing and budget, you know? So all this shit that was going trend-wise was meant to be going against me. And here I'm trying to do something that was bucking the trend. And mate, I had my moments where, because I thought, fuck, all these fucking people are saying this to me, it's fuck, you know.
Might be some truth.
There might be some truth in this. And so I stuck it out, and I just kind of made a plan for myself where I said, okay, well, just did some calculations on paper, and I thought, okay, well, what's my worst case scenario? And I thought, well, if I can't make it, if I could fucking hang tight for 2 years without a safety net, I didn't think it was all going to fucking fall over within 2 years. I mean, it could have, but basically, if it fucked up within 2 years, I was fucked. Right? I was fucked, like fucked. Right? But if I could make it work for at least 2 years, and then it all just went to shit. My worst case scenario was I could, you know, get out of my loan, pay the bank off, walk away with at least my equipment, and I could sit up at home like every other person was doing at the time and just fucking join everyone else. So I basically would just have at least my gear, my skill set, and I could work from home.
Sure.
And be. So, you know, mate, I was fucked for basically really for 2 years, or at least the first 12 months was fucking sweating, fucking blood.
Sure.
You know, and really not knowing what was going to fucking happen. And even though there was work coming in, it was always the anxiety of like, fuck, what's going to happen next week? The phone didn't ring for 2 weeks straight. Oh, fuck, this is it. We're fucked. So it was a very, very anxious time during that, and fucking self-doubt all the way through the whole thing, mate, until I hit that 2 year point where I knew, okay, not that I completely relaxed, but at least I knew that I wasn't going to fucking lose the building.
Sure.
You know, and not just lose the building, but losing the building would have been fine so long as I had no debt alongside it, but not to lose the building and have fucking debt on top of that.
Yeah.
You know, to walk away and say, well, I gave it a crack. I tried. I gave it, didn't work. Okay.
Which would be much better than the regret of not having done it.
Oh, absolutely. But I didn't want to sort of have the regret plus have this huge fucking, thing on my back and probably have to go bankrupt and.
Well, it's really fucking tough, like for everyone out there wanting to pursue full time in music or whatever it is, music production or mastering, you have to jump. Like you have to take the risk. Like what you can either not do it and stay with your full-time job and fucking hate waking up every morning.
Yeah, man.
Or you deal with the stress, I assume initially in the first few years and, at least you go down screaming or
totally.
You rise with flying colours. And thankfully you did.
Well, yeah. We're just holding our own. We're just holding our own. That's all you need to be doing anyway. Spike, I got into this whole fucking caper not because I wanted to get rich. If I did, I should have had my fucking head read. I do this, man, because I want to live richly.
Sure.
I was always inspired by wanting to do what I love doing, and this is why when I was 15, I made this pact with myself that I wouldn't do full for the rest of my life, 9 to 5, collar and tie, and work for the man. I've had my moments where I've had to do that along the way.
Sure.
So to build my business from the idea to having the dream facility, if you will, that was 21 fucking years of process.
If you could go back in time, what would you say to 15-year-old Jack the Bear? Would you change anything?
I would, no, not at all. I honestly wouldn't. Perhaps there were not even big decisions made. Here's the thing, it's a really interesting and that hypothetical is a really interesting question, but here's the thing. If I could go back and change all that, it wouldn't have turned out exactly how it's turned out. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be what it is today, which I'm happy with. Would it have been better? It may have been. Again, see, this is the thing, is before we talked about the idea of what if my dad was this and that. They're interesting conversations, but to me, I don't really delve into them because they're just fucking hypothetical. We'll never know.
Sure.
They're great. They're an interesting conversation point, but I'd rather deal with what is now. What's the reality of my life and what's been. Mm-hmm. So to go back, to go back and meet a 15-year-old, I'd just say, yeah, fucking do it. Just fucking do it. Whatever it is you're thinking, just fucking do it. Yeah. And just let life be the feedback mechanism that it is, and go with that. Now, of course, it'd be nice to be able to say, I wish I'd done this sooner and I wish I'd known this, all that.
But it was all meant to happen when it was meant to happen.
Everything does.
I think it's the best advice, bro. Like to anyone wanting to pursue whatever the fuck it is you want to do, I know we all have those moments when we're doing a job that we hate, and just fucking do it. That's the best advice. Yeah.
But even doing the job you hate, man, for me, I just took it as it was a stepping stone towards what I wanted. I always had something bigger than myself, the vision towards what I was building, which was this fucking studio that was going to be designed this way and have this and this and this. And always that was the thing that kept me going, was that thing that was bigger than me, that made me get out of bed, fucking turn up at this job and do a shift over here and take up whatever. Because everything was about, okay, well, that's another fucking step closer. There's another step closer. And so even though, a lot of the jobs I got to do, I didn't mind doing. Some I really fucking hated, but some were okay. I mean, I always tried to find work around the music/entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. So, I got to do work at Triple M. I was an on-air announcer for those guys. I got to do some corporate emceeing through them as well, which was kind of cool. But also, along the way when I was overseas, did all kinds of shitty jobs, hospitality, being a doorman, fucking, dishes and waiting and bar work and retail, fucking maintenance, cleaning, construction. Fuck, man, I've covered the full fucking gambit of all the fucking different kinds of jobs you could fucking do while you're trying to feed yourself and, build what you're trying to build.
Yeah. So it's not, you don't, when you make that decision to pursue what it is you love, it's not cold turkey. There's still sacrifice and doing other stuff that you got to do to get there. Yeah,
most definitely, man. And here's the thing. A lot of people love the idea of the destination of where they're going, and it's the dream, but but a lot of people are not prepared to fucking roll their sleeves up and put in the work, mate. Now, the one, as they say, is a cliche of the only place where success comes before work is the dictionary, right? A lot of people are just not willing to fucking do the hard yards, man. Yeah. There's no easy path. There are shortcuts sometimes, a few efficient things you can do, a few little hacks and what have you, but they're not going to be the main fucking freeway that'll take you to where you want to go.
Sure.
And we're living in a culture now where we have so much gratuity, so much shit on demand, so much stuff that happens like this, is that we, my generation are guilty for creating a world where no wonder kids want things to be done quickly and fucking on demand, and why doesn't it happen for me this way? My generation, we're partly responsible because we're creating this fucking world that you kids are in. To sort of go, well, everything else in our life fucking is this way. Why the fuck doesn't everything else work that way?
Yep.
But the reality is it doesn't. It's Eckhart Tolle. Not that I've read his books. So please don't think I'm some fucking well-read person. I'm not. I just saw the quote and I remembered it. And it's appropriate in the context of this conversation. So please, I'm no smart fucking book reading. So let's just get that out of the way. But Eckhart Tolle said that nature takes its time and everything gets done. So there is a natural process that things happen, and certain things you are in control of your controllables, which is what the way your thoughts and how you decide to frame situations, and then how you decide to respond as opposed to just react.
Sure. And
how to manage your emotions around something. That's what you're in control of, When you're in the studio, when anyone's in the studio, you're in control of what? How you handle the session, how you treat your client, how you go about your business. Once that shit goes out the door, it's out of your hands.
Yeah.
What people think of you, out of your hands. So I say, I don't I do. Of course I want to be liked and respected, of course, but by the same token, it doesn't really matter. What matters more, and I think I've told this before too, and I've told my mentees this, and I'm telling you fucking kids, it's not so much about what, you don't care so much about what people think or say about you. Just don't give people justified reason to say shit things about you.
Sure.
And I've been guilty of that too.
Yeah.
I've fucked up several times as well. So I'm not going to sit here and fucking paint myself with some halo and Saint fucking Jack, because I'm anything but. I'm more of a sinner. I'm fucking 3 stripes, fucking Sergeant Sinner. I'm not that bad. No, actually I am. I'm worse. But
I believe it.
But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
man.
I get it.
I'm not perfect, and I'm human, and I'm fucked up and failed and fallible and make mistakes, but that's how I've learned. That's how I've learnt my lessons.
It's all part of the journey.
And that's why I'm happy to be honest about this shit and share this shit, especially with kids, because people elevate you to this certain fucking status. And while that's really nice and it's flattering, and I get it, you understand that, character's who you are, and reputation is what people think you are.
Yeah.
And perception in people's minds is their reality. So the one thing I don't want to create is, again, and I'm not responsible for what people think about me, but I'm just careful that I don't want to paint some fucking picture here that I'm all knowing, all great, all anything. I am who I am.
Sure.
I've done what I've done. I stand behind what I've done. I'm proud of what I've achieved so far, and I think I've got other great things to do in life, but I'm no different to any other kid watching this. Not at all, because there was a time I was that kid.
Yep.
And I had my nose up against the glass looking in and wanting to get my foot in the door, and had the dreams and aspirations and all that, and looked up to people. And then you realise after time, as you get to know these people and work with these people, they're just fucking people, man.
Yeah.
Everyone's just a fucking person with the same fears and anxieties and all that. The rest is just the story you tell yourself about that person. And that's why it's really important to respect people, have respect for their achievements and whatnot, but don't ever put yourself down. Don't ever try and measure up or think you're any lower or any better for that matter. You run your own race, and you're here to try and be, and as corny as it all sounds, the best version of you, whatever that is for you. And, because, I've had people say, I want to be like you one day. I said, no, mate, you don't want to be like me. I'm fucking taken. Be fucking you. Be you. But a lot of people don't see that themselves as being enough because we're conditioned that way.
Sure.
It's our greatest fucking fear. What is it? We're not enough. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We're not sexy enough. We're not talented enough. Insert whatever fucking adjective you want. But
you're pretty sexy, mate. By the way.
Oh, yeah. I'd go all right.
Spike you, dick. No. Listen, mate, we are starting to run out of time.
Yeah, cool.
Give me 2 seconds. We're good.
And
okay.
This is where the editing comes in.
Well, we're going to keep it.
Yeah,
HAFIY's a good editor, but we're going to keep your golden words. Listen, I have one more question, and I want to try and sum it up relatively quickly. We've got about 2-3 minutes. Mm-hmm. But mental health is hugely important. Now, this is a massive topic. I know you do a lot of work with mental health, and I don't want to leave our little interview without talking about it briefly. There's a lot of people suffering from issues with mental health. I know people who are still trying to push through and achieve their dreams and their goals. How important is it to fucking take care of your mental health first before anything else?
Well, I think just your health in general. Your physical being does lead to a better mental being, but mental health is very important. As someone here who struggled with it for most of his life, I still have my days of where I feel some anxiety. I just am better at managing it. And I'll tell you what I've learnt about, at least this is where I currently am with my understanding, bearing in mind I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a fucking neuro fucking surgeon. My qualification, all this shit is dick, right? Sure. All I have is my own fucking life experience, right? But this is what I've learned so far about depression and anxiety, and that is I don't buy entirely into the idea that mental health is a chemical imbalance of the brain. Yep. It's a great story that the pharmaceutical companies want us to believe so they can fucking peddle all their shit. I think it has more to do with, depression is more about the story you tell yourself about your past, your regrets, your failings, the things that have upset you, your indecisions, whatever that may be. And anxiety is more about the what if is going to happen in the future. It's all about the future. So the more we tell ourselves a certain story and believe in a certain narrative, well, our thoughts are really what create the physiology that build the stress hormones in your body, that build the blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. It's all starting from a thought. And a thought is just a fucking thought, right? It's just a fucking thought. Mm-hmm. But because we weave a story around it, that's what creates the experience that we have. Sure. You're here with me. HAFIY is fucking in the room with us, right? There's 3 people in this room right now. We're all in the same room. Yep. We're all conducting an interview, but each one of us is having a very different experience. It's all subjective. Sure. And that goes for all of us. And so once we can understand that and realize that we create our reality and that we're responsible ultimately for the story we tell ourselves and subsequently, that's what's going to really create a better, mental health. But to answer your question, though, Spike, yes, it's important to, look after your mental health and doing things like, maybe some meditation. For me, I enjoy going to the gym 3 times a week. So, 3 weight sessions and 2 cardio sessions minimum, non-negotiable, rain, hail, fucking shine, I'm fucking there. Because why? Because I know it helps. Because when I don't do it, I don't feel as good. I don't perform as well. I'm not being at my optimum. So if I know that, then, common sense would dictate that I want to make sure I fucking get in there. Mm-hmm. If I can't get an hour, I'll get half an hour. For whatever the fuck it is, mate, just something. Yeah. But mental health, very important. And that also comes around things like the peer group. Who are you fucking hanging out with, dude? Who are the people that you hang around with the most? Whether it's an online community or the people you hang out with, on the weekends or with your work colleagues, always look to find people that are going to drag you up, man, and not think that I'm not good enough to be in that space.
That's right.
And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. It's that I'm not good enough. Oh, well, why would they want to fucking talk to me? Well, you'd be surprised, actually, if you come into a group and you got something to contribute, because, mate, that's what relationships about. Mm-hmm. It's what are you fucking bringing? Whether you're networking, you want to go out there and network and meet people. People go out and network. Why? Because they go, well, what can I get out of this guy? Oh, I'll go and talk. I'll hit this guy because he knows so-and-so. Or, you know what? People see through that bullshit, man. Yeah. They see through it fucking, they will smell you a fucking mile away. Yeah. As opposed to, well, you know what? Maybe I've got something to contribute. Now, you don't underestimate what you may have. If you're a tech-savvy person, a social media-savvy person, you go to an old fuck like me and come to me with like, hey, listen, dude, you know what? I can help you with this. Or I've noticed your social media, it's cool, but you know what? I've actually got some ideas to help you and you can show me something. Well, at least you got some interest, and it could be someone else's interest.
Sure. So offer value first.
Offer fucking value.
Yeah.
And value is a perceived thing. You just don't know what your value may bring to someone.
Sure.
So when you're bringing something and you're sincere in the way you go about it, you'll have, more than likely, you'll have people want. Now, the flip side to that pancake is, well, someone may fucking use and abuse you. Well, that's a whole different conversation. But don't go in looking to take, especially when you're starting out, man. And even now, I find that I will always want to get involved with people because I feel I've got something to bring. Now, if they're into it, great. If they're not, that's fine too. Someone else probably will.
Sure.
But getting back to this whole mental health thing, man. Sorry, we're fucking going on tangents all over the shop. But mental health is so important. It is at epidemic fucking proportions. I don't pretend to be the poster boy with this shit in my industry, but I'm just doing what I can because I can see that. You talked about legacy before. Like, mate, it's great to have gold and platinum records on the wall, beautiful as they are. I love them. But that's not what I'll be remembered for.
Sure.
If I want to remember for anything, it's like, well, he made a difference in my life. He did something fucking half decent. He at least he made an attempt to do something.
Not the material bullshit.
A lot of people fucking talk about shit, man. I mean, even now, when I approach people about, will you come and talk about mental health? It's like, everyone says, yeah, it's a great idea, and everyone fucking talks about it when someone fucking tops themselves, tragic as it is. Unfortunately, it takes a tragedy for people to talk about this shit.
That's right.
And it's great that they bring the conversation up, but then what happens? It gets forgotten about because everyone goes back to their fucking life. That's the way it goes. I get that. But, it's all good to say, oh, yeah, it's a great cause, I want to talk about it, but if it's such a great cause and it's great to be talked about, why aren't you talking about it?
Yeah.
Why aren't you sharing? So hopefully that's what I'll be remembered for as one aspect, as well as being hopefully a good dad and a half decent bloke and not in complete utter shit cunt,
Guys, that's all we have time for. I want to sign off by saying, like, all the guns at the top of their game are kind of saying the same thing, like, fucking do it, believe in yourself, just get out there, make connections. And, looking after your mental health and all that kind of stuff, I think that's just the way to go. I think you're really inspiring. I think the legacy is definitely going to be all the people that you've helped and the advice that you give. It's more value than anyone could ask for. And bringing awareness to things like mental health and the struggle of what it is to be a creative, for me, is incredibly valuable. So I just want to thank you, man.
I'm so fucking proud of you, brother. You've done so fucking well for yourself. It's lovely to see.
Thank you, dude.
Lovely to see your growth and progress, and even doing initiatives like this. It's fabulous. So
sure. Thanks, mate.
More power to you, my friend.
That's Jack the Bear. Make sure you like and subscribe below. Also, Mastering Music, Mastering Life. Go to Facebook and Instagram and get on top of it. Jack the Bear is always putting up inspirational and motivational videos, and he also interviews a shitload of very interesting and talented people. That's it for this week, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week on Plugged In with Spike Leo.